Hey guys, 8 Byte Brian once again back for another 8 Byte podcast with your look at all things trending in movies, games, wrestling, and everything else in pop culture today. So I've got a lot to talk about this month for the month of January, from Star Wars to wrestling, the Nintendo Switch, and a little bit of everything in between. So first off, let's talk about some wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's true. Kurt Angle is finally going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is awesome. He was one of my favorite heels back in the Attitude era and Raw era of wrestling, and he was great playing off of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and just, all around talented wrestler and fantastic on the mic, and one of the best heels that I've probably ever seen since CM Punk. Um, or possibly Edge and Christian. They were also really good heels as well. And, well, also Eddie Guerrero. So, okay, maybe not one of the best heels, but a very good heel. And I think it's great that he's finally, getting his comeuppance and his, respect and due and getting inducted this year at WrestleMania 33 into the Hall of Fame. And it's awesome to see a legend like Kurt Angle finally get put into the WWE Hall of Fame. So, moving right along, let's take a look at the Royal Rumble. Now, admittedly, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole Royal Rumble, but I did watch most of the actual Rumble. A few things were fun, and a few things were surprising and disappointing. So, let me go into what I took from it and, what I thought of it. I thought it was really cool because I honestly hadn't been watching Raw or wrestling in a long time. I mean, this is probably the worst that it's ever been. I just have no interest in it. Um, it's just the same old thing with Cena and Roman Reigns and even AJ Styles. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing to him. I appreciate the fact that he's a good, skilled, technical wrestler, but he doesn't entertain me. I'd much rather watch Dolph Ziggler any day of the week for my money. I think Dolph Ziggler's very underrated. I look at him and I see the next Shawn Michaels, personally, with Dolph Ziggler. But anyway, going into the Rumble, one of the more interesting stories that, excuse me, that I've missed out on lately was Randy Orton teaming up with Bray Wyatt and the leader of the Wyatts. Now, there's always been some, implosion going on with the Wyatt family pretty much ever since, their existence with Luke Harper and I want to say Bo. I don't remember the other bald guy's name in the Wyatt family. But, they've always been kind of in clashing with each other. And, seeing as now they've been able to latch Randy Orton in with Bray. That's a really interesting pairing. I see that as a good triple threat match. Maybe for like a pay per view down the road. I don't really see it happening at WrestleMania because of course, the road to Rumble is the road to WrestleMania. So everything now pretty much once you get past Survivor Series, everything is, on the way to WrestleMania. But I think that's, a really cool match to see, even if it's just a one-on-one with Bray versus Orton. I think Orton, I don't know, I think he's starting to finally get past his prime. He's starting to show a little rusty, nowadays. I mean, sure, he can still hit a RKO from, anywhere in the ring, but that's only because everybody else is setting him up for it. So, he's gone on the disabled list quite a few times over the past couple of years, and he just hasn't brought anything new to the table in a long time. It's just the same Randy Orton. Oh, I'm coming out with my tattooed arms and no shirt on, and I don't say much, and he's crazy. Okay, that worked for a while, but I think that gimmick is kind of dying off. I'm much more interested in Bray Wyatt. That's a character I've been interested in a very, very long time. And I gotta say, at the Rumble, I was super impressed by what I saw. He looks like he's lost about 30 or 40 pounds, so it looks like he's been hitting the gym. Looked a lot, more muscled, a lot better in shape. and it really showed in his performance, and he's just really crazy and really out there, and I think that the WWE is really grooming him to be the next Undertaker. Um, and you saw Luke Harper come in later on, and you thought that him and Bray Wyatt, were going to make up and take down Orton together, but instead Orton and Bray took down Luke Harper. And Luke Harper's another talented wrestler I really like a lot too. I think that he has nowhere to go but up. Um, so that was interesting, and then you saw Goldberg, which I didn't expect. Come out. And he came out and faced the Beast and did the same thing that he did at Survivor Series. Again, nailed him with that spear. And for a guy in his 50s, holy God, like Goldberg, I mean, wow, he has really kept himself in great physical form after all these years, and he still has a huge amount of stamina. And it's just not many wrestlers can do that when they start to get older like that. I mean, Terry Funk was able to do it for a while into his 50s, but he looked like a sloppy mess. I mean, he looked like Ric Flair does now. Not to say anything against Ric Flair, but I mean, where his muscles got saggy and droopy, and he really aged. But Goldberg, I mean, he doesn't really look like he's aged that much, or he's just really had an unbelievable, diet and exercise regimen, and it shows. It's paid off. And it's kind of like what I always said. Um, I always said with Brock that as much as I love him, he is the beast, but he can't last. You see him within like 10 minutes. You got to realize he's like 37 years old. Him and John Cena are in the same age range. So, he gets winded pretty quickly. He's not a young pup in there like, 23, 25, 30 years old. So, yeah, he's got all that big bulk, but he doesn't have the stamina to make it last, for like an Iron Man match or something like that. So, once Goldberg went in there and nailed him with that spear, and I don't remember. I know he landed a jackhammer on somebody, but I don't think it was on Brock Lesnar. But after that, Brock was done. He was finished, and it was just awesome. You could still see Goldberg had plenty of stamina and reserves to go, even though he did get eliminated rather quickly afterwards. Um, but I would really love to see a match between Goldberg and Lesnar, coming up soon. And then, of course, that you're going to have the Undertaker, in the Rumble, as always, being a heavy favorite. But I got to say, the Undertaker's looking a lot better than he did last year. Now he's what, 52, 53 years old, I think. So for a wrestler his age and his size, he looks like he's definitely been working out a lot more and looks in a lot better shape than he did last year against Shane. Shane, he looked really scrawny, and he got worn out quickly. He still has a huge gut, which, I mean, I love the Undertaker. He's my all time favorite wrestler, but you can tell he's just been resting on his laurels. He doesn't feel like he needs to hit the gym as much, and obviously I would never say that to his face because he could probably still bench press like 400 pounds or some nonsense like that. So it's not to say that he's out of shape. It's just to say that he's like too much like, oh, I'm the Undertaker. I don't need to work out. I'm still a strong guy. I'm still a big guy, and that's why his Mania matches, as of recently, are very like lackluster. Like you can look at other people who have aged, like Terry Funk or whatever. Man, he put on a hell of a show in his late 40s and early 50s. Like he was still an incredible wrestler, and Taker's still a good wrestler too. But I mean, you watch an Undertaker match, you're maybe getting 5 to 6 power moves, or honestly, even moves in general. And that's it. Just like, a choke slam and a big chop and a clothesline and a boot, and he sits up once or twice, and that's all he's got energy for. He's worn out. And like again, I said I love the Undertaker. Nothing against him, but I think he should respect his name a little bit more and train a little bit harder than he does. Because guys that are only 3 or 4 years younger than him, like The Rock, you can see the difference of people who take it seriously and people who don't. Um, so that being said, you saw Roman Reigns come in, and Roman Reigns I absolutely hate. I think he is an absolute hack, piece of garbage. wrestler that cannot wrestle to save his life. You see him and the Undertaker get into it. You know, Reigns is the reason Undertaker gets disqualified out of the Royal Rumble. And it looks like, your main event, or at least Undertaker's event for Mania 33, is going to be Reigns and Undertaker. And it's like, wow, who the hell cares? Like, what a lame fucking match that's going to be. Like, I couldn't give two shits less about Roman Reigns and his stupid little Superman punch, which does nothing because he never hits people with it. When he floats over them, it just floats by their face, and they just do a good job selling it like they got hit. He's never hit one person with that punch. And even if he did, it wouldn't even do anything. And he's just, Vince's carbon copy of, like, another Diesel from back in the 90s. He's just a big guy. And, he can't wrestle. He has no mic skills. He's just absolutely stupid. And it's the most talentless hack that I would ever want to see go up against The Undertaker. I mean, he's not fit to lace The Undertaker's boots, much less even occupy the same space inside of a wrestling ring with him. I mean, he should be paying The Undertaker to stand in the same space with him. He should shake his hand and say, thank you for letting me even stand here next to you and occupy the same space that you're occupying. He is an absolute piece of garbage and possibly the worst wrestler I have ever seen in all of my years of watching wrestling. So that being said, I am not pleased. This is probably going to be Undertaker's match. There's no feud to be had. There's no rivalry to be built up. Undertaker doesn't care, and anybody who had any common sense would really know that. Why would you have beef with Roman Reigns? He shouldn't even be on a Legends like the Undertaker's radar. A legend like that shouldn't even notice him on his radar. He's just like, whatever. I could care less. Where's our match with Undertaker versus Sting? Do a match with Undertaker versus Goldberg. At least when they did it versus Triple H, that was awesome. Doing like the old dying legends, the last of the breed. But come on, man. Like, Undertaker's got maybe 3 more years in him at best. Probably by 55 he'll retire. That's got to be it. There's no way he's going past 55. And you got all these opportunities in the ring. And with the way that, wrestlers pass away, like a few years ago with Razor Ramon, and stuff like that, you never know. And, well, no, I'm sorry, not Razor Ramon. The Ultimate Warrior. I don't know why on earth I said Razor Ramon. But yeah, give the fans what they want, for once. And it's not, John Cena versus, I don't even know who he's facing, Randy Orton or something? Or I really have no idea, sorry. It's not that, bust my balls all you want for, not being up to date on my current wrestling, but I don't care. This era of wrestling has been absolute crap. There's just a bunch of talentless hacks. The people that you do have that are good, they're not promoting as well. Alberto Del Rio came back. He went absolutely nowhere. Ziggler has gone up and down the ladder, hasn't done really anything. Miz, is still a good wrestler, in his own right. You have Cesaro. You have all these good guys, and especially you have, oh god, I can't even remember his name right now. Somebody will help me out in the comments. That the dude that used to be with the Shield that was like kind of crazy. I'll remember his name later on during the show. But those are guys that have awesome freaking talent. And then you have hacks like Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry, but you're a hack. I've seen people like Edge with their neck injury go for more years than Daniel Bryan did, and he just, dropped out and collected his cash and is collecting his royalties. And, that's pathetic. You're a disgrace to the wrestling industry, in my opinion. And there should be people like Ziggler, getting, their push, instead, what was it, like last SummerSlam or WrestleMania? They got him. Sorry, really got to clear my throat there. I think I had some bullshit stuck in my throat. You have, talentless pieces of garbage like Zack Ryder, they're promoting. Are you serious? You're actually giving him the time of day? Like, some idiot that just made up his own belt online, like wrestled in his backyard and the fans voted and that's legitimized? Like, that's ridiculous. You know, I mean, I can almost look at him and put him in an old school wrestler. I don't know if many of you guys are going to remember somebody like this, but like Barry Horowitz in the same league. They're both the same type of jobber hacks. But you know what? Barry Horowitz actually had wrestling skill. You know, when he was going against, the Body Donnas, and pin skip, 2 matches in a row and had a Mania match. There's a reason for that. Zack Ryder's just a Jersey Shore moron. So, sorry, hate to go off on a tangent, but that's honestly what I see wrong with a lot of wrestling nowadays. I really hope that I see some better matches for Mania coming up. As I am a WWE Network subscriber, and I'm not going to be for much longer if they can't put together better cards like this. Like, I get that Undertaker's getting older, and I get you, for whatever reason, want to push Roman Reigns, which I do not understand. But not on the back of the Undertaker. Don't do that to the Undertaker. Don't let him chalk up a loss to Roman Reigns. That would be, God. I mean, I could not stand to see that. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the Royal Rumble and going into Mania. Like I said, unfortunately, I didn't really watch much of the Rumble. Otherwise, I had work and was kind of busy. So you guys can leave your own comments what you thought on the rest of the matches down below. But that's where I stand on it. Alright, so real quickly, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. I know I talked about this a couple of months ago and haven't really talked about it too much since. But, the Switch is now gearing up for full swing for, March of 2017. You have the Breath of the Wild exclusive Switch pre-orders that have all but sold out, and pretty much all of the Nintendo Switch pre-orders everywhere have sold out, and it's really looking like it's going to be, I would dare say, going to be a hit of a system when it launches. Honestly, I'm not too interested in it myself because I see the lineup of games that Nintendo has, and it's absolutely weak. It's very weak. They're again relying on gimmicks, and I get it. They're trying to be the innovators in the company, but they have to realize, this isn't 2005 anymore, where it's the Nintendo Wii and no one had ever really seen motion controls before. And, they still think they're the biggest dog in the yard, and they're not, and it's going to be a very rough lesson for them, when they come up against the Xbox One and the PS4, and they realize that, hey, people don't want to play games with these weird motion controls. Wii Sports had its day. And when you have, only one title, really, the Breath of the Wild and Splatoon coming out a little bit later, Mario Kart 8, down the road, you're releasing Skyrim, really? I mean, talk about dated games. I mean, that's just nonsense that you're even releasing that, for the system. And you have Super Mario Odyssey, coming out later on in the year. That's just, it's too much space in between games. There are not enough big titles, and I think it's going to bore a lot of people to where they're going to have absolutely no interest. You're not going to have any really social games, that are going to come onto the scene to where, where's your Call of Duty? Where's your shooters? Where are you showing people, hey, this is a more mature system for adults and kids to play? And, again, Nintendo just isn't doing that. They're just resting on their laurels, and they're like, oh, Mario will save the day once again. And, like, I think this console, he's not. I think there's going to be enough people that are going to, they want to play it for the nostalgia, but eventually the message is going to get through to Nintendo that, they really want a gaming console. You don't want a fluff console with these stupid Joy-Con controllers, and the fact that an extra one is like $70. I mean, what the hell are they thinking? I really don't know. And their whole lineup just looks absolutely weak. And I don't have a lot of faith. I think it'll sell well. I think it'll do great numbers, but I think you're going to see it crash 2 years after its launch. I don't think it's a sustainable console. Because honestly, Nintendo would have a better lineup, even going into 2018, maybe early 2019. And if this is all you can get, these are the people you can only get to get on board with you when you're first coming out of the gate. And what does that show long term? Like, where's like Bethesda? Where's Square Enix? Where are those big developers that you need that are outside of the first party titles? And if they're not with you out the gate, if they're saying, let's step back and see how this thing does because we're not sure we want to invest in it right away, then that's a huge, huge problem. So, I'm trying to like the Switch, but it's too much of a hipster game console. Let's be real. You look at the commercials, and it's just idiots in fedoras and like suede jackets, playing it on their porch with like the heat lamp out front. And it's like, really, show me people who that's their actual lifestyle. Like that's bullshit. Like if you live out in California, okay, maybe, but for the rest of us, like you know, no. I mean, you're catering this system to douchebags. So you know, I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me. And I think that it's initially going to have a good start, but eventually, if you don't integrate it with some of your titles, especially like Pokemon Go, they definitely need to release a good Pokemon title for the Switch. It's just going to flop. It's absolutely going to fail. All right, and moving right along, with more Nintendo news, let's talk about the NES Classic Edition. Now, there's not too much to talk about it because you can see there's been more and more consoles been released, and it's becoming a lot more mainstream nowadays for people to be able to get a hold of one a lot easier. But something that I had said early ago, and I was probably the first one to say this, it's been hacked. And that's a pretty big deal because everybody went in saying, oh, this system can't be hacked. It is what it is. It's kind of a plug and play console. And it's Nintendo just testing the waters and seeing how much people still want their first party software and their online store and everything. But yeah, it's been cracked, and so far it's been shown that you can put up to 60 different games on it. While I have seen that it is kind of a chore to upload the games onto the console, it's just proof that it's doable. And I'm not surprised at all. The only thing I am surprised is that somebody else actually cracked it first. I expected this to be a patch released later by Nintendo, like I said, because of the third-party USB micro cord, and then eventually you could download games from Nintendo's site and put them onto your console. So while I think it's cool, it's not really that interesting because there's many other ways that you can emulate games or get an EverDrive or something like this. So I think we're already seeing the NES Classic probably become outdated within its own life cycle. By next holiday season, you probably won't even hear of it again. Alright, and another gaming news, let's talk about Resident Evil. So as you know, Resident Evil 7 came out with much, much fanfare and acclaim. I haven't played it myself, but I've seen some of the online trailers, and man, it looks absolutely awesome. This is such a step up from Resident Evil 6. I played 6, I really didn't like it at all. I thought the mechanics were awkward, you couldn't walk or run or shoot at the same time, and it was just like playing Uncharted or God of War where you hit a button at the right time and that progressed the storyline, and anybody could have beaten it. Honestly, you can sit a cat in front of Resident Evil 6 and they can complete the game. It was lame. But Resident Evil 7 kind of takes on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre element of this family that you don't know anything about, and you're trapped on their house, and all you know is that you have to escape. The family doesn't die, and you keep shooting them or chainsawing them or just finding any way to dismember them and escape alive, but they keep hunting you through the house as you find different pictures and letters trying to let you know that something really bad happened in that house long before you got there, and that's why these souls can't be laid to rest. So that makes for a really intriguing storyline as to what happened to these people. Did they just go insane? Did someone else murder their family and create some type of horrible injustice that they can't rest in peace? I wish I had a next-gen console so I could actually play this and find out. But for all you Resident Evil fans out there, like, people who like the originals, like 2 and the first one, the director's cut, or even 4, it has a lot of creative elements, like where you can use a cassette to save your progress, kind of like how you used to be able to use the typewriter ribbon to save your game back in the original. And you can move and shoot again, with your shotgun or Beretta or other different weapons, and even combine herbs and stuff to make healing potions for yourself. So I think that it's really cool that this borrows a lot of elements from the original Resident Evils, and I think that it plays off it well with a new twist and some really, really intense graphic. If you're a Resident Evil fan, I highly recommend picking this up. Alright, so let's talk Star Wars. Well, first, let's talk Star Wars Battlefront, as in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2's release date now has been announced for early holiday season of 2017, which is unbelievable, seeing as it's barely a year and a half since the first Star Wars Battlefront got re-released on next-gen consoles. I didn't get a chance to play that myself. Like I said, I don't have a next-gen console, but it looked awesome, and it's probably one of the best games I've seen come out in a long time in as many ways as a first-person shooter or an online MMO type shooting franchise. The fact that you can play as many different characters in the Star Wars universe and go on all the different planets, like Tatooine and Hoth, and you can shoot down ATSTs and AT-ATs and everything. It looked great. So I'm really surprised to see another installment released this soon, which kind of tells me that the developers probably aren't doing that well if they're already releasing another installment so soon after the initial one. So they're really just trying to hit on the success of everything Star Wars early on, which is a great thing for all Star Wars fans. But I don't know if it's such a good idea for the development company. But anyway, I'm excited to see what the new Star Wars Battlefront will bring, and I think you're going to see a lot of elements from Rogue One, if I had to guess, especially with the popularity of the movie. What better to do than actually have a battlefront with new stormtroopers and new rebel soldiers and make a whole new battlefront based off of those elements alone? So if it goes in that direction, I think it should be pretty exciting to see. Alright, and finally, in other Star Wars news, as many of you guys may have finally heard, the new Star Wars name for the next movies in the installment, Episode 8, has been released in Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, fans have been going nuts as to what does this mean, because when you see the logo, even though no new trailers have been released, the classic yellow Star Wars logo is now red, which is very cryptic. What does that mean? Does it mean the Last Jedi in kind of a metamorphical sense to where it means that there are no more Jedi because Luke or Rey, or perhaps even Finn, if he's an unawakened Jedi, which I still think is going to happen late in Episode 8, have all turned to Sith? Or does it mean Jedi in the plural? That maybe there's more of them than just what we see on screen. Maybe Luke finds some of his old students that he taught, and they've learned the ways of the Sith. So I don't know what this could mean, but it's very interesting. I'm a little nervous, though, with J.J. Abrams being the director, because he seems just a bit too eager to go around killing off characters. Han Solo dying off right in Episode 7? Ugh, that makes me nervous going into 8. That makes me nervous for Luke. I almost have a feeling that within the first hour of Episode 8, he's going to kill off Luke. And if he does, I think I'm just bailing on the whole franchise. There's not enough of a good reason to kill off your main staple characters and make this such a dark side heavy installment and trilogy. You need to stretch it out and make it more balanced. I'm sure Luke, now that he's older, he looks like he's maybe 10 years shy of what Obi-Wan's age was in A New Hope. He's probably gotten weaker. He's gray. It looks like he's put on a few pounds. But I don't think he's anywhere near as weak as how Obi-Wan was when we first saw him. So with that being said, I don't think there's a reason to kill him off. But still, I have a bad feeling about this. And I think that J.J. Abrams is probably going to kill him off quickly and push Rey into the spotlight. Which I think Rey will make for an interesting Jedi. But I don't think that she doesn't seem to be a Jedi that anyone really wants. She hasn't really done anything in the series yet. She's just kind of like walked around confused and bumbled into situations and hasn't really gained any confidence aside from that one fight with Kylo, and there's just nothing selling her character. I mean, it's everything we've seen before. You know, it's the stranded orphan on a desert planet who's unsure of herself and then comes to realization with her powers and suddenly builds self-confidence in herself and becomes the hero, or now heroine, of the saga. So, as far as that goes, I'm not interested. I would much rather see this go the direction of Finn. And I don't think that his story is over by a long shot. I really do think he's going to turn out being force sensitive because there's just too many scenes with him using a lightsaber. And I think that at some point during the series, we're going to find out that he has force powers. Because if he doesn't, then what the hell is the point of having a battle with a lightsaber? It doesn't make any sense. It's basically, if in the original trilogy, if, you know, you had Chewbacca shooting with his crossbow the whole time, you know? But then by, Return of the Jedi, it turns out that Chewbacca was a Jedi. You'd be like, well, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. Why was he using a different weapon the whole time? Why wasn't he demonstrating abilities of a Jedi, and the way that Finn fights and everything, and the way that he holds the lightsaber. It looks like that there's maybe something locked away in his brain that's kind of like a reflex telling him how to do this. So that's at least what I really hope. I'd really like to see him move in that direction, and I think it would make the story a lot more interesting. I also hope that we see more from Maz Kanata in the new series too. Because they deleted that scene from The Force Awakens where she holds up the ceiling, as the stormtroopers are invading. And I just think that it's so much more interesting to go into these other Force-sensitive characters that don't really get a lot of focus, or didn't in many other past Star Wars installments. Kind of like Yaddle in the prequels, the other creature from Yoda's planet. It would have been interesting to find out more about her than just what we see in the expanded universe. Anyway, I'm definitely holding my breath for this and can't wait for episode 8 to come out next holiday season. Alright guys, well that's everything I got for you for the month of January. So remember, tweet out those topics that you want me to talk about on the 8byte podcast to 8byte podcast hashtag at 8bytebrian, and I'll see you guys back here next month.
Hey guys, if you liked the video that you just watched, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And if you do the Facebook or Twitter thing, follow me at hashtag KingerRetro. See you next time.